Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. The morning sun spilled through the tall windows of their New York apartment, gilding the hardwood floors with warmth that felt almost staged, like a set light turned on too early. Outside, the city hummed with its usual impatience. Inside, silence sat heavy, unmoving. Kelly Ripa stood at the kitchen counter, hands wrapped around a mug she hadn't sipped from in 10 minutes. The coffee had gone cold. She didn't notice. Mark Consuelos watched her from the doorway. For years, he had known every version of her, the ambitious young actress with fire in her eyes, the exhausted new mother who rocked babies between auditions, the sharp-witted host who could turn any awkward moment into laughter, the woman who danced through life with humor as her armor. He had loved them all. But this version, quiet, distant, holding herself together like fine china, scared him the most. "Kel," he said gently, as if the wrong volume might shatter her, "you're going to be late." She blinked, as though waking from a dream. "Am I?" Her voice was calm, practiced, too calm. "Yes." He stepped closer. "And you haven't touched your coffee." She smiled. That smile, the one the world adored, the one that never quite reached her eyes anymore. "I'll drink it in the car." She didn't. To the public, Kelly Ripa was a force of nature, effortlessly funny, endlessly energetic, the woman who made mornings brighter for millions. She had spent decades perfecting that rhythm. Quick wit, flawless timing, charm sharpened by intelligence. What no one saw was how much it cost her. The expectations were endless. Be cheerful, be relatable, be thin but not obsessed, be confident but grateful, be real but never too real. And Kelly, who had built a career on being authentic, found herself slowly disappearing behind the version of herself everyone expected. It didn't happen all at once. It happened in small fractures. A skipped meal here, a sleepless night there, a laugh that came a second too late, a mirror she avoided, a voice in her head that whispered, "You're only valuable if you're perfect." She told herself it was just stress. Everyone was stressed. She had 3 children, a high-pressure job, a public image to maintain. Of course she was tired. So she pushed harder, smiled wider, joked louder, and inside, something quietly began to unravel. Mark noticed before anyone else. He noticed how she flinched at compliments, how she brushed off concern with humor sharper than usual. He noticed how she rehearsed conversations in her head, how she lay awake beside him, staring at the ceiling as if the dark held answers. "You okay?" he'd ask. "Of course I am. Why wouldn't I be?" And he'd let it go, because love sometimes means trusting the lie someone tells themselves. But fear has a way of growing roots. One night, long after the house had gone still, Mark woke to the sound of quiet sobbing. He turned to her, heart pounding. Kelly lay curled on her side, shoulders shaking, one hand pressed over her mouth as if trying to silence the pain. "Hey," he whispered, wrapping his arms around her. "Hey, I've got you." She didn't pull away. That scared him more than she had. "I don't know who I am anymore," she said, voice breaking. "I don't know how to stop pretending." Mark held her tighter, pressing his forehead to hers. In that moment, the world-famous host disappeared, leaving only the woman he loved, raw, exhausted, human. "You don't have to pretend with me," he said. "Not ever." She cried then, openly, like she'd been waiting years for permission. Kelly's emotional battle wasn't dramatic in the way headlines like. It wasn't one explosive breakdown. It was quieter, heavier, a slow erosion of self-worth. She struggled with control, with the feeling that if she loosened her grip even slightly, everything would fall apart. She struggled with food, not in the way gossip columns loved to speculate, but in the way control often disguises itself as discipline. Eating became a negotiation. Rest felt like failure.
Worst of all, she struggled with asking for help. Because strong women aren't supposed to break, are they? Mark tried to be patient. He cooked meals, left notes, made jokes just to hear her laugh. Some days it worked, some days it didn't. There were moments, small, terrifying ones, when he wondered if love would be enough. The day everything changed was a Tuesday. Kelly sat in the makeup chair, lights blazing, scripts stacked neatly on the desk. The crew buzzed around her, familiar and comforting. 5 minutes, someone called. She looked at her reflection. Perfect hair, perfect makeup, perfect illusion. And suddenly, she couldn't breathe. Her chest tightened, her vision blurred. The room felt too loud, too bright. "I can't," she whispered. The makeup artist froze. "Kelly? I can't do this today." That was all it took. The show was delayed, producers whispered, rumors sparked instantly. Mark arrived within minutes, pulling her into his arms as cameras were ushered away.
"I'm here." For the first time in years, Kelly didn't apologize. The decision to speak publicly didn't come easily. Kelly wanted privacy. She wanted to heal quietly, without speculation or judgment. But Mark saw something else, a chance to change the narrative. One evening, after the kids had gone to bed, they sat on the couch, hands intertwined. "You don't owe anyone anything," Kelly said softly. "I know," Mark replied, "but I owe you honesty." He took a breath. "People see you as untouchable. If they knew how human you are, maybe someone else wouldn't feel so alone." She searched his face. Fear warred with relief. "Only if you're ready," he added quickly. "Only if it helps you, not hurts you." Kelly leaned into him, resting her head on his shoulder. "Tell them," she said, "but tell them the truth, not the polished version." When Mark spoke publicly, the world listened. He didn't sensationalize it. He didn't share details that weren't his to share. He simply said this: "The woman you see every morning is incredibly strong, but she's also human. And like so many people, she's been quietly fighting a battle you can't see. I'm proud of her for choosing herself." The response was overwhelming. Letters, messages, stories from strangers who felt seen for the first time. Kelly read them slowly, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't know," she whispered. "I didn't know it would matter." Mark kissed her forehead. "You matter." Recovery wasn't a montage. It didn't wrap itself up neatly. There were good days, days when Kelly laughed easily, ate without counting, slept without fear. And there were bad days, days when the old voices crept back, when control felt safer than vulnerability. But now she wasn't alone in it. Therapy became a lifeline. Boundaries became non-negotiable. Rest stopped being something she had to earn. And slowly, the smile she wore on television began to match the one she felt at home. Months later, Kelly returned fully to the spotlight, not as a symbol of perfection, but as a woman who had learned the courage of softness. She spoke openly, carefully, on her own terms, not to invite scrutiny, but to offer solidarity. Mark watched her from the wings one morning, pride swelling in his chest. She caught his eye and smiled. This one was real. Late one night, long after the city had fallen into its restless sleep, Kelly and Mark stood by the window, watching the lights flicker below. "I used to think strength meant never falling apart." Mark squeezed her hand. "Now? Now I think it means letting someone see the cracks." He kissed her knuckles. "Then you're the strongest person I know." Outside, the city went on. Inside, two people stood together. Not flawless, not invincible, but honest.